like to be educated, but I'm so frustrated. Hello to my loneliness. I guess that ignorance is bliss. Take me back to before the new. Rewind, take it out of cue. Innocence can be a young man's game. Signed up for the hall of shame. I wish I knew.
There have been some interesting developments in the Tyree Nichols case. This unfortunate, tragic, horrific beating of Mr. Tyree Nichols, age 29, from Sacramento, was absolutely unnecessary. And if the rumor mill is correct, he may have allegedly been set up. Tyree was coming home from taking pictures on January 7th when the police pulled him over. Mind you, he was only minutes away from his home. Mr. Nichols passed away on January 10th, only 3 days after being hospitalized. An independent preliminary autopsy found that Nichols suffered extensive bleeding caused by a severe beating. An initial statement released by the Memphis Police Department said on January 7, 2023, at approximately 8:30 p.m., officers in the area of Rains Road and Ross Road attempted to make a traffic stop for reckless driving. As officers approached the driver of the vehicle, a confrontation occurred, and the suspect fled the scene on foot. Officers pursued the suspect and again attempted to take the suspect into custody. While attempting to take the suspect into custody, another confrontation occurred. However, the suspect was ultimately apprehended. Afterward, the suspect complained of having a shortness of breath, at which time an ambulance was called to the scene. The suspect was transported to St. Francis Hospital in critical condition. Once the camera footage was released from the body cams, we would later find out the truth. On Thursday, January 26th, former Memphis police officers Thaddeus Bean, Demetrius Haley, Emmett Martin III, Desmond Mills Jr., and Justin Smith were booked into the Shelby County Jail in Memphis on several charges, including second-degree official misconduct, official oppression, and aggravated kidnapping in the beating death of Tyree Nichols. Hemphill is allegedly captured on body cam video tasing Tyree Nichols. This is the sixth officer who has now been relieved of his duties. Mind you, the stepfather of Tyree said during an interview there was a sixth officer, and he wondered why he hadn't been charged as well.
Nearby, Hemphill can be heard saying this.
Oh, stop it.
He and a second unnamed officer have been placed on leave pending an investigation. The Memphis Fire Department saying 2 EMTs and 1 lieutenant have also been fired. 2 Shelby County Sheriff's deputies who responded to the scene relieved of duty pending an investigation.
We're just looking at everybody, even people that were filing reports afterwards. We're making sure that we have done a comprehensive investigation, right, as quickly as we can.
5 other officers at the scene were fired and charged with second-degree.
All of them should pay. Along with the white officer that was tasing my son, how come he hasn't been charged with anything?
Why were they only focusing on these 5 officers and leaving out this 6th one who was involved in this as well? Now this made me look sideways at the chief of police. And we'll get to her in a moment. But first, we have to focus on former police officer Demetrius Haley, who has been accused of violence in the past. When I first heard of this horrific beating, I thought it was yet another senseless act protected by the blue line. But when I saw the hue of these officers and I saw the video, well, I didn't see the whole video because I wouldn't subject myself to that, and I won't subject you all to it either. Please don't watch that video. It desensitizes us from the horrific acts that are committed against us. So let's not reinforce that idea, okay? But when I saw a clip of it, I just got a gut feeling we were not getting the full story. When I saw the young man laying in a hospital bed, which I won't again post here, I thought to myself, this was personal. This does not seem, it doesn't seem like just another senseless act by the guys in blue. This seems like something very personal. And looking more in depth into it, Twitter was also asking, was this personal? In fact, I came across this tweet so that someone else reposted. Mind you, this is rumor and speculation. It is unfounded and it has no fact grounding it, so it is simply rumor, and so it is allegedly something that someone knows. But as we read, it says, I know someone on the MPD. Tyree was cheating with police officer's wife. This was not a routine traffic stop. The friends of the guy being cheated on helped get him. It got out of hand. Tyree ran because he saw the husband and knew he was about to get hammered. There is way more to this. And I have to tell you, that resonated with me because it sounded absolutely correct. Because the act that occurred was so egregious. It was so heinous. It was just like a hateful act. Like, I hate you, man. I really do hate you and I really want to hurt you. Now, the more and more the chitter-chatter continued in Memphis, the more and more people began revealing things that they allegedly know about it. I came across this tweet. It said, it's confirmed. One of the officers, his ex and mother of his child, worked with Tyree Nichols at FedEx. After he had the young man on the ground, he sent his ex a picture because that's what the whole plan was. Revenge, to destroy Tyree because he was dating his ex. Now, allegedly, this ex notified the police of what occurred. Now, what became of that? I don't know. If we are to believe the BTIU, or Black Twitter Investigation Unit, Demetrius Haley is the boyfriend of the woman who apparently worked at FedEx, who had an affair with Tyree Nichols, which led to this horrific act. Now, it's one thing to wear the uniform and rough somebody up who you're arresting. It's an entirely different thing to use the uniform as a shield to cover up acts of revenge. This leads us to the question, why were these officers so comfortable in believing that they had complete immunity and that whatever they did was going to be covered up? Because they had to have thought that. They had to have thought they were going to get away with this in order to do it. Now that we have some more information about what may have led to these events, we really need to look at the culture that condoned this type of behavior. And we have to look top down, because that's usually how it goes. Top down, this type of behavior is condoned. And so our sights need to be set up on the chief of police, the woman who started the so-called Scorpion unit in Memphis. Now, Chief Cyrilline C.J. Davis was hired in 2021 in Memphis as the first female police chief. But prior to that, she worked for the Atlanta Police Department, where she began her career as a patrol officer in 1986, according to the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. Her advancement in the department came quickly, and she was ultimately named deputy chief. Very interesting. As a commander, she led Atlanta's Special Operations Section, which included SWAT, Mounted Patrol Motors, APD's helicopter unit, vice, and narcotics. She also led the city's infamous Red Dog unit, according to her biography on the Memphis police site. She also served as the Atlanta Police Department's Internal Affairs Commander. Now, that's the one that you need to remember moving forward. As part of Internal Affairs, it was her job to investigate complaints made against police officers of the Atlanta Police Department. In 2008, Davis was fired from the Atlanta Police Department for her alleged involvement in a sex crimes investigation into the husband of an Atlanta police sergeant. That police sergeant was Sergeant Tonya Crane, age 37, who had been with the Atlanta PD since 1993. Sergeant Crane's husband, Terrell Marion Crane, was arrested on child pornography charges. Federal investigators said police officers had apparently withheld and destroyed evidence in the case. At the time, Chief Richard Pennington said these allegations are disturbing, and the Atlanta Police Department is very concerned about this incident. The alleged actions and any perpetrated failure to take action will not be tolerated. When the incident came to his attention, he immediately ordered a full inquiry and invited the FBI to assist with the investigation. According to federal prosecutors, the sergeant's husband, Terrell M. Crane, 47, was arrested on a federal charge of producing child pornography after the Federal Bureau of Investigation received photographs that had been held by the Atlanta Police Department since 2000 of Mr. Crane engaging in inappropriate activity with young girls. These girls appeared to be between the ages of 12 and 15 years old. It was a local photo processing company that turned the pictures over to the department over a period of time from the year 2000 to 2002, according to the prosecutor's statement. The department apparently took no action, and Mr. Crane continued to pay girls an undisclosed amount of money for inappropriate activity and offered $50 to each girl for referring him to new victims. In 2003, Crane's wife, Atlanta Police Sergeant Tonya Crane, allegedly got a call from an unidentified person at Atlanta Police Department headquarters. She was alerted that APD had photographs of her husband engaged in explicit, inappropriate conduct with young girls. Crane's wife said she found some explicit photographs in her house and burned the photographs and negatives. The FBI searched Crane's home and found undeveloped film, which was processed and showed Crane engaged in inappropriate activity with at least 2 girls. Sergeant Crane's husband was later indicted and found guilty and sentenced to a sentence of 10 years in federal prison for producing child pornography. At the time, United States Attorney David E. Namia said, "This defendant exploited many young girls in Atlanta over the course of almost a decade. His crimes are unforgivable, as is the fact that when a citizen provided strong evidence of the crimes to the Atlanta police in 2003, the investigation was squelched, and the defendant's police sergeant's wife was tipped off and destroyed evidence. We commend the Atlanta police officers who later advised the FBI about the case, and the FBI for promptly bringing to justice this serial sexual exploiter of children. He is off the streets and where he belongs, in federal prison for many years." Due to the federal indictment and the accusations that the Atlanta Police Department failed in its duties to properly investigate the crimes, Chief Richard Pennington at the time said, "Any behavior associated with these alleged acts will not be tolerated, and I will act swiftly to enforce the law, even amongst our own." Major Cyrilline C.J. Davis was demoted to lieutenant and removed as commander of the Office of Professional Standards. She was reassigned to the communications section, which includes 911 dispatchers. At the time, Chief Pennington said he asked the city's law department to investigate how some of his officers mishandled the investigation into T.C. Crane. The Office of Professional Standards normally would handle allegations involving police officers, but its commander, Davis, has been implicated. The city investigators interviewed more than 30 current and former police officers at that time. Davis, while lieutenant in charge of the intelligence unit, ordered 2 detectives in 2004 to stop looking into Crane's alleged crimes, according to documents in the investigative report. One of the detectives told city investigators that when he asked Davis how to proceed with the Crane case, she told him to, quote-unquote, cut it, and made a hand gesture in front of her neck. Davis denied doing so, but failed a lie detector test, which she tried to foil by clenching her teeth in an attempt to alter her measurable vocal output, according to police records. A year before this all occurred, as if this wasn't enough, Chief Pennington called for a review of the department after narcotics officers lied and planted evidence in the wake of a botched drug raid in which Catherine Johnston, age 92, was shot to death.
The unit, drawing comparison by some to the drug strike force once known as the Red Dogs here in Atlanta. Memphis police chief, who, according to her work bio, started her career with the City of Atlanta Police Department and was assigned to specialized investigations, including ones of the Red Dog unit. Now, the unit was a 1990s era team that targeted drug dealers and street crime with aggression and bravado. Members of the unit were reportedly a part of the drug raid where 92-year-old Catherine Johnston was shot 5 times at her Atlanta home during a no-knock warrant at the wrong house. The unit was disbanded shortly after the team raided the Atlanta Eagle, a gay bar on Ponce de Leon Avenue, without a warrant and detained and searched people who were not suspected of any crime. In 2021, Atlanta police created a new unit aimed at curbing the city's violent crime rates, titled Titan Unit, that police say works aggressively to address violent crime without Red Dogs violent tactics.
The Scorpion unit was put together to add extra visibility in the community and also develop relationships with community members. The acronyms stand for Street Crimes Operations to Restore Peace in Our Neighborhoods. The whole idea that the Scorpion unit is a bad unit, I just have a problem with that.
That was Memphis Police Chief C.J. Davis defending the city's Scorpion unit after 5 members of that unit brutally beat Tyree Nichols, leading to his death. After the video of Nichols' beating went public, the police department deactivated that unit, citing the cloud of dishonor around it due to the heinous actions of a few. Well, the few that got caught. Chief Davis launched the Scorpion unit in 2019 in response to homicide numbers rising in the city. It's now drawing comparisons to Atlanta's Red Dog unit, created in the 1980s, which she led from 2006 to 2007. Like the Scorpion unit, it was used as an acronym standing for Running Every Drug Dealer Out of Georgia. That unit was disbanded in 2011 due to, wait for it, accusations of multiple violations of civil rights.
Now, taking all of this into account, Davis was fired. But she turned around and filed a sex discrimination complaint against the Atlanta Police Department. She accused the department of disciplining her differently than a male officer who had a similar case but held on to his job. Both Davis and the male officer were charged with lying and failed lie detectors. They both then got private lie detector tests passed them and presented the new findings to the Atlanta Police Department. The male officer kept his job. Davis did not. Mind you, this was the second time that Davis was going through the ringer for piss poor leadership. Let's just be real. Failed to properly investigate crimes where you had proof. And then you have a whole department over here acting like they're a gang with a badge. They were trying to let you go. That's really what it was. But she successfully sued and got reinstated. Davis would later retire from the Atlanta Police Department in 2016 before taking a job as police chief in Durham, North Carolina. She rose to Memphis police chief in April of 2021 when Mayor Jim Strickland selected her as the department's first head female. And we can own this and why. This ain't nothing but a Kamala Harris. Look bad. So basically, this is just a culture of piss poor policy, leadership, and police, and now an innocent man is gone at 29 years old because you got an incompetent police chief running a department and using gang-style tactics to accomplish the goals of the city set in place by the mayor, who needs to be voted out of office. This is top-down piss poor leadership and city management. But leave me your comments and thoughts below.